Welcome back to video 4 in the series of Tule Lake Butte Valley Fair animal prices, where we have been taking a look at the 2015 prices for lambs and hogs and comparing that to the totals for 2016, and hopefully we'll have the 2017 values in that we can take a look at too. We left off in video 3 by calculating percent change. Up to this point, you should have all of your totals for 2015 and 2016, and we left off calculating the percent change for the total amount of auction sales for the lambs between 2015 and 2016, and we came up with this calculation of minus or a negative 40%, which we learned in the previous video meant a decrease of 40%. Well, before we continue on, I believe we also talked a little bit about how to freeze columns and rows so that we could still see our headings here. So I'll review that real quickly, since it's been a few days since we were working on this. I'm going to go ahead and click in B6, click on View on the main menu, and right here, Freeze Panes. This selection right here. And that'll freeze both our column and our row. So now we can scroll and still see our current years here that we're working with. So the first thing we want to do is we'll go ahead and calculate the percent change for the rest of these and then also for the hog prices. Before we do that, let's quickly review percent change. We had the new value, which is represented here by C29, minus the previous year's value, or the old value, and we came up with the difference between those two. And then we divided that by the amount that it changed from, or the old value, represented here by B29. So we calculated the difference, the amount of change, and then divided it by what it changed from, and that gave us this decrease of 40.1%. Now, another way to think of percent, especially when we're talking about money here, is just think of $1 bill, and think of this 40% as 40 cents. And when you think of it that way, the difference between 2015 and 2016 was 40 cents less for every dollar. So the other way to look at it is that for every dollar of auction sales in 2015, there was only 60 cents in auction sales as compared to the previous year. So 60 cents was received on each dollar compared to 2015, or the other way to look at it is that it decreased by 40 cents per every dollar. So that's the way to look at percent change, and that's why percent change is a very useful measurement to help make decisions and analyze what's going on with business activity. Let's go ahead and do it for the mean, average, median, and the max, and we'll just get some more practice doing that calculation. So I'll do the first one slowly again. Always start with an equal sign. We need a parenthesis so that we can control the order of operations, meaning that for those of you that are in algebra or have been through algebra, the parentheses controls when things are done, in what order. And so we want this subtraction to be done before the division. So we take that new value, subtract the old one, and then that'll give us a calculation. And so we want this value calculated and then do the division. That old value. Check mark. Now, once again, these are formatted here as dollars. I'm going to go ahead and just select all of those, so I won't have that happen again. And then come over, choose percent, and I want 1 decimal place. And of course, at any time, pause the video and repeat if necessary. Calculating the median, equal sign, parenthesis, newer value, minus the older value of the parenthesis, divide that by the previous year. Now, if you forget to put the parentheses like I just did there, you just click back. You can edit right there within the cell. And then go back forward. Or go forward. Go back to where you were. So there's your values. Check those, make sure they're the same. Repeat if necessary, and then move on to doing the same calculations for the hogs. And once again, I need to format those as percents. 1 decimal place. And so the hog prices or hog sales have also decreased between those 2 years. It'll be interesting to see how it goes this year. So go ahead and finish those, and then we'll move on and take a look at some charts. So there are the hog values you should have come up with for the total, the mean, median, max, and minimum. The only one that's in positive range there, it looks like the minimum value increased anyway between those 2 years. So whoever got that low price on the hog wasn't quite as low for 2016, so it increased by nearly 30%. So next up, we'll take a look at some charts. So let's go on back to the lambs, and we'll start with the lambs and do a couple of charts there to put a picture to all of this data. Okay, I'm back on the lamb page, and what we'll do is we'll create some column charts for this data here. And that data will give us a picture of the decrease that occurred over these 2 years. And then we'll create those charts and put them into a separate page. So we'll end up with some other pages down below here. So let's do the totals first. Select the 2 values. I'm going to bring those up here a little bit so we can clearly see our 2015, 2016. So you might want to do that. It'll make it easier as we chart this. So once again, select 2015, 2016. Insert, and then come over to the charts window, and we'll select our column, and we'll just select this 2-dimensional column chart right there. So we have our auction sales value here, and then a 1 and a 2, which represents 2015, 2016. So we need to give a name to this. We need this to be 2015, 2016. And we also need a title here. Well, let's start with our title here. Just click in that text box, highlight the text that's there, and let's just call this Auction Sales 2015, 2016. Don't need that S there. Now let's go and change our x-axis and get some titles on there. So I'm pointing out here into the chart plot area. I'm going to right click and choose Select Data. And the Select Data source comes up, and right now we've got it's showing 1 and 2 is the label there, and we want to change that. So we'll go ahead and click at it. Label range, we want it to be this range here. These are our labels here. So we'll select that. And hopefully that will reveal total 2015, total 2016. There it is right there. That's what we want. And we did it correctly because 2015 was larger than 2016 as indicated by our percent change of 40%. Click OK. And we'll go ahead and leave this series information here. We already have our title, and so we know that this is talking about total auction sales for those years. Click OK. And then the next step, let's go ahead and make this its own page. So it'll show up down here as a separate page, make it a nice big chart. Once again, out here in this chart area, we'll right click and look for Move Chart. Right now it's an object within our lamb price sheet. So we'll make it a new sheet. Select that button. And then we give it a name. Auction Sales Totals. Auction Sales Totals. And there's our nice big chart showing that decrease between those 2 years. And it's a separate page. And if you want, you can also move these pages or these sheets and arrange them. So I'm going to take mine and put it all the way down here. So I still have my lamb prices as the first one. Well, you know, often when you're doing these things, you realize that you need to make some adjustments or some edits here. So one of the obvious problems that some of you may have seen is that we need to indicate that these auction sales are for the lambs because we need to go and do the hogs. So we got to make sure we know which data we're talking about. So not a problem. We can just go right back in here and click on that title, Auction Sales 2015, and put it right there at the beginning and put the word lamb so we know which animals. And then our title down here also needs to be changed. So what you do when you want to change the name of a sheet, point to it, highlight it, right click, rename. Once again, select the sheet, right click, rename. And then it allows you to go in and edit. So I'll just go ahead and put in lamb. There we go. Now we're in good shape. You can also double click if you don't want to press that right key, and you can go in there and make the change that you want to make. I just capitalized lamb there. Get my title case. Looks a little nicer. So do the same thing now for hog prices. Create a total auction sales chart for the hogs. Select your total values. Insert. Charts, column. We'll give it a title. Remembering to type hogs this time. Hog auction sales and then we need to adjust that range of cells to give us the labels that we need. So we'll select data 1 and 2. We'll edit that. Put in 2015, 2016. There it is. Well, that looks good, and then we'll go ahead and move that to a separate page. Move chart. New sheet. Give it a name. Hog auction sales totals. Hog auction sales totals. Spelling looks okay. And there's that new page indicated there. And there we have a graph or a chart that shows the change from 2015 all the way down to 2016 and the lower prices received at that time. And I'm going to go ahead and move this one down here to be the last one on the right. Well, that will conclude video 4 in this series of looking at the lamb and hog prices for 2015 and 2016. And the thing you'll want to do next is to go to Quizlet and review some of the new knowledge that we've learned here. And then we'll have a test coming up here soon.